Good morning. It's 9:05. It's Monday morning. If you're watching on Facebook, do me a huge favor. Share this video out. I'm excited. We have a stacked show today. Our first guest is with Ready, Set, Go Consulting. We got Joshua Pritchett here in studio. We're going to be talking about media management, media marketing. We're also going to be talking about video production and also ministry. So if this is something you are interested in, I promise you're going to enjoy this first hour. And then after that, we're going to have Dr. Bo Williams here in studio talking about his brand new single. And if you have ever heard Bo Williams sing, you are going to love the show today. So during that 10 o'clock hour, we're going to have Dr. Bo Williams. It is Monday, so that means it's a brand new week. If you have some plans, I want to hear about them. What do you have going on today? I have a lot of fun scheduled for today, so it's going to be an awesome show. And then this afternoon, don't forget about Riding the Wave with Angie and Kelly at 3 o'clock right here on KHEA Radio. If you haven't liked their page yet, make sure you go do that. It's Riding the Wave with Angie and Kelly. But you spell Angie, A-N-G-E. And I've never officially asked her about that, but I think there's supposed to be an I there. But anyways, Angie, Kelly, they're awesome. They're going to be here in studio at 3 o'clock. You can listen at 99.5 FM on the KHEA radio app, or you can just watch on Facebook. So I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Ethan's going to go ahead and bring our guest in. It's 9:06 a.m. on a Monday. Let me hear what you have going on. I see some comments right here on Facebook. Monday. Happy Monday. It is Monday. We're going to spread some positivity today right here in the community and then get it going on the FM here in a bit. But we're going to get Joshua in and settled, and we're going to learn everything that he has going on. But Ethan, how are you doing? Ethan, give me the thumbs up. Not even. Wait, nothing. Hey, so we got Joshua here in studio, and we're going to be learning about everything that he has going on. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Thank you for I'm doing great. Thank you for hanging out today.
Oh, man, I'm enjoying every minute of it.
So you said you're in Galveston, huh?
I'm living on the island right there on Post Office downtown.
All right, cool.
I'm loving my wife, when we moved here, she said, I don't care where we live, find us a nice place, but I want to be close to the water. So.
Yeah. Well, Galveston, that accomplishes that. It's really nice. And you said you're originally from Dallas.
Born, bred, and raised. I'm Dallas all the way, man.
Are you a Dallas Cowboy fan?
I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan.
Hey, they did it yesterday, huh?
Man, we're going to do it this year. I walked into this place, the old local. He said, man, where are you from? And I said, well, I'm from Dallas. And he said, well, you know, the Dallas Cowboys, I heard they're going to go 14-2 this year. 14 convictions and 14 arrests, 2 convictions. I said, man, don't be hating on the Cowboys. So.
Oh, man. Hey, so I saw Dak, people mess with him. They say he can't throw the long ball that, it's all like the short passes. So, right. But he aired it out yesterday.
Well, I mean, the thing about him, man, is he's got an arm. And I feel that, so anybody from Texas, I'm sure you have listeners all over the place that are Texas born, bred, and raised. And if you grew up playing Texas football, you know that you don't want to, you always get hurt. It's just going to happen.
It's a part of it.
Yeah. So he probably doesn't, want to take that extra time.
I don't blame him. We're going to go ahead and make this switch, get on the FM. We're talking to Ready, Set, Go Consulting right here on KHEA Radio this morning. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, smash the share button. Get this stream out. Go share it in a group. Let's do it. Here we go. Good morning. It's 9:08 a.m. This is KHEARadio.com, 99.5 FM. I'm Gardy. We have a special guest here in studio. I'm going to let him introduce himself and share the name of his consulting company.
Sure. My name is Joshua B. Pritchett. I'm with Ready, Set, Go Consulting. We are a 21st century advertising agency that deals with social media, websites, radio, TV, everything that you need to do in order to get your business out there. We do it in a way that you think that your customers are going to think the phone is listening to them when they're looking for your business.
Hey, that happens. Earlier, you got a call, and I think my phone was listening because it was telemarketing.
It was. I got the call asking me if I wanted to enroll in an insurance plan, and then 2 minutes later, you get a call for insurance plan. I guess they're tracking us, man.
Yeah. So who is the ideal client for your business? Who can you help?
Sure. I mean, I can help anybody. My ideal client, traditionally, I've always worked in a little bit larger companies, so mid-sized to larger businesses. I've worked for traditionally Fortune 500 companies and traveled all over the place and did big buys for Pepsi and done big buys and commercials for other companies as well. But I'm trying to switch gears and kind of shift focus to help people who can't afford a big advertising team. So right now I'm kind of still focusing on my larger clients, but am trying to add some value to some of our hometown heroes.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit off the air before we went on, and there was the topic of a business not necessarily taking advantage of everything that's offered through technology today. And in our area, I feel like there's a lot of great businesses that are doing it great and right, but there's some people that still have room to grow.
Absolutely. So any business that you have, I mean, you could have listeners out there that, you know, own a car dealership. I know you have that. I know that there are listeners out there that, you know, frankly, could have a rental property or something like that. People are good usually at the business that they do. They're the best widget makers. They're the best at making arroz con pollo when it comes to Mexican food, whatever it is, you know. But they're, hey man, only on Saturdays and Sundays. But they're usually not the best at marketing and advertising their business in the most effective way. So what I love to do is I love to sit down with a potential client, and, you know, I have questionnaires that I go over, because if anybody tells you that marketing and advertising is cookie cutter, they're just straight lying to you and trying to take your money.
It has to be custom.
It has to be custom, man, because how I'm going to market menudo and arroz con pollo is different how I'm going to market, you know, a big-time construction company. The clients are different. The money's different. But all in all, there is effective and great way to do it.
Yeah, what are the important questions to ask whenever you are consulting someone? You know, and is there a question like 1, 2, 3? These are the 3 things I need to know right off the bat.
It's not 1, 2, 3. It's ready, set, go.
Ready, set, go.
And so, number one, you actually stole one of them. Is, you know, who is your ideal client? What are the people that you're walking to? And whereas a restaurant, it's the people in that general vicinity. It's people who are hungry, right? If I'm wanting food, I want to come in. Now, on another end, it's radio station. Well, what kind of people are listening to your station? What kind of music are you playing? And, you know, you look at the analytics, which is just a fancy way my sister makes fun of me of saying that word analytics, because she's like, what is that? And it's just a fancy nerd way to
numbers.
say,
What do you mean?
just to say the numbers.
I
know the demographics. I know if they're male, female. I know their ethnicity. I know, you know, where they live. You can find out how much they make, all the above, to create a custom client list for a company. So that's number one.
You know, Facebook and social media takes all that and kind of hands it to you.
Sure.
But I guess you wouldn't be surprised, but I feel like there's a lot of people that don't know that's an option at all.
Absolutely. And I think that, so when there's 2 sides of it. One, I am what's called a premier Google partner, which means that, one, I'm the only one in Galveston County. I'm, I think, one of 3 to 5 in all of Houston area. But what that means is, you know, we're partners with Google because we understand it. We understand all the back end nerdy stuff to it. But like you're saying with Facebook and Google, they give you a glimpse of that. But there's an actually more advanced backside of it when you are a business manager and things like that, to where it gives you so in depth of real-time information of what your client is, who's watching your videos, what's understanding this, what's understanding that, so that you can not only sell your products or services, but just be the most effective that you can in getting in front of the right people.
Yeah, and then YouTube, I think they offer some of that, and it's a little bit different. Like Facebook, I kind of have a grasp on it.
Sure.
And then you get to Google and it's just like, okay, I know it's there. I don't understand. And then YouTube, I'm just like, man, I can maybe figure out one, but that's why it's important to bring in an expert.
Well, I mean, you know, Zuckerberg and his team, they try to make it to where you can see who's doing what and this, that, and the other. But, you know, the big guys at Google and, you know, which includes YouTube and all of that kind of stuff, it is very in-depth. It is very, you know, you can get lost in the sauce, as they say, but it's good if you have experience. You know, myself and my team, we're, you know, been computer nerds since before it was cool. And so, you know, it just kind of developed us into careers.
Do you remember what your first computer was?
I built it because, so this is super funny, and I'm not going to, you know, talk about my age or anything, but my father made fun of me because he didn't understand it. He said to me, he was like, I don't understand. Like, you should want a car. Like, every teenager wants a car. And I was like, well, Dad, like, I really need a computer because, you know, a car, I can't make any money. I could deliver pizzas like my buddies, but they don't really make that much. And I, like, want to start making money. And so, man, I worked hard manual labor jobs as I was bred to do. I'm a big boy, so I was always put to work. But I knew I didn't want to do it forever, and I did it long enough to buy a computer, start making websites way back when. And, you know, my dad doesn't think I'm crazy anymore because, you know, it worked out for me.
It worked.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
worked. So you've always been into computer technology. Like, if a new gadget comes out, are you trying to get it?
It depends, man. I do a lot of like market research. I get to go to like conventions and things like that to check it out. My wife usually puts the brakes on things. We're blessed. We have a baby on the way. So she definitely tells me, you know, what gadgets I can go out and swipe and grab those and which ones I can't. But I think more so I used to, you know, a couple years back, I'd buy anything and everything the day it came out. Like, the day the iPhone dropped, the day that the new iPad dropped, I'd be there. I'd be on the list. I'd be one of the first ones to get it.
Yeah. You know, whenever it comes to business and media and marketing, a lot of the times, if the companies are doing it right, they make you think, hey, you have to have this. If you don't have this, but that's not necessarily the case because you can still get your stuff and your message across using stuff that is not like the newest.
Sure, absolutely. And I think it's all about I've talked to certain of my clients and, you know, I kind of preface, it's about your mindset. You know, is the technology going to work harder than you, or are you working harder than the technology?
Yeah.
It's great. It's a tool, man. But the business owner, the person that is passionate about it, you with the radio, that's a passion. These cameras and these mics, they don't have that passion. They're tools.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's a big part of it.
Okay, cool. So right now we are talking to Ready, Set, Go, Joshua Pritchett. He is in studio. It's 9:17 a.m. on a Monday. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, smash the share button. If you have any questions whenever it comes to consulting, now's the time to ask because I'm going to ask those questions and maybe you'll get some advice that can, you know, change your life forever. We were talking a bit to Joshua and found out he's from Dallas. So you're from Dallas, and I think you mentioned you ended up in St. Louis, and you traveled, I mean, all over the world doing what you do. But how did you end up in St. Louis?
So I actually left Dallas. My wife and I left Dallas, and we traveled the world, man. We went to Haiti first, and this was right around the time, right after the earthquake that rocked that whole island down there. And so we were down there for a bit. I lived extensively in South America in the Amazon jungle. After that, we went to Africa, East Africa, traveled to like Mozambique, Tanzania, different places like that.
I have to ask why. Like, why? Just because you wanted to and said, hey, why not? Or is it business that led you there? Or just, let's do it?
Yeah, well, it was part of, I mean, man, to be honest with you, it was part, at that time, I didn't have any faith. And, you know, it was something that kind of changed in me. And so I was trying to find God and, you know, develop a relationship, whatever that meant. I heard somebody say that. And so for me, it was, well, I don't quite understand what that means. And I had this internal change so drastically. And what I described to people wholeheartedly is that's when I met God. And so I, you know, walked away from more money than my parents ever dreamed of and all the toys and whatnot, and wanted to go and find God. And that developed into, I worked on several documentaries, going different places. And, you know, it was my path for a while. And I loved every minute of it and kind of miss it every day.
Wow. You mentioned something about the jungle. Like, what's the jungle like? Because that's like legit.
Man, I'll have to share some pictures and videos with you because it is anything like I can even describe. So I'll try really hard. But so I was there alone. My wife was here when I first went down, and I was in the jungle, and there were nights where I, you know, got to sleep underneath more stars than you can even imagine. Like the sky is almost kind of glowing of so many stars. Now, on the other side of that, if you're not looking at the stars, you're hearing sounds that you have no idea what they're like. You have no idea what they are. And they sound like they're right, you know, 10, 15 feet away. I remember one night I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Nature called, pun intended. And so I went out and I realized that there was something in the path, and, I had a small little flashlight, and I took a stick and I killed this snake. I just thought, oh, it's a snake. I mean,
Right.
My mother is a big city person and my father loves the country. So I've been around snakes. I know what it's like. So I killed this snake, didn't think twice of it. Thought it was a grass snake like we have up here. Well, in the morning, one of the villagers, and, I spoke Spanish the entire time I was there because I was in Peru. And he said, where did this snake come from? And I said, oh, I killed it last night. I had to go to the bathroom and I just killed it with a stick. And he told me, he exclaimed to me in Spanish, and he was just like, this is like our most poisonous snake. So then, when I got back, I looked it up, and it's called a bushmaster, and it's the 4th most poisonous snake in the world. Wow. And so it could have all been done right there at the night, but we went crocodile hunting in the middle of the night, all kinds of stuff.
Man, so whenever it came to your sleeping arrangement, this is actually a question from our Facebook stream. Said, hey, did you have a hammock? Did you sleep in tents? What was going on?
So part of the time that I slept in a hammock, which I started with that, the problem with that is when you're expanded, you have these big mosquito nets, right?
Yeah.
They don't cover your back.
Oh, no.
So all the way up and down your spine is just, the mosquitoes will find you.
So they'll go in
they will
you're on the
pierce through
tent,
your
they go
hammock.
through it.
Absolutely. So what found out, all the villagers, all the locals, they sleep on the ground. They thought I was funny because I'm trying to set up a hammock in a tree. They're making fun of me.
Do they still have the mosquito tent?
Yeah, they have the mosquito nets. They make them by hand.
Wow.
Like they make their own.
What about the snakes? The 4th poisonous snake in the world.
Dude, you have to build it's like Texas cowboys, man. They build like a little thing with either clothes or rope that kind of keeps snakes away. So
yeah.
I started off, Facebook listener, I started off in a hammock, but I got chewed through by mosquitoes. And it's funny because we did this event one night at an orphanage that we have building there. And it's actually opening up this August. It's going to be when we kind of are finished with it. But, we blew up all these balloons, and mosquitoes are attracted to human breath. A lot of people don't know that. But it's the carbon dioxide. And so we blew up all these balloons, and we're putting them up in this, tiny little hut that we had this little party in for kids, popping popcorn, giving them peppermint candies. And they thought it was like we gave them the world. But the balloons start popping, and we realize it's because the mosquitoes are popping. That's a big mosquito. If it's popping balloons and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my sister, I tried to get her to go with me. I have 5 sisters, actually, and my youngest one, which is my biological sister, and she said, well, there's spiders. I said, yeah, there's like tarantulas and crocodiles and all kinds of stuff. And she was like, I can deal with crocodiles, but I can't go because there's spiders and tarantulas. So she's got a big case of arachnophobia.
Oh, no. All right. So, okay, you've traveled all over.
Sure.
You ended up back down here.
Absolutely.
And we talked about this a little bit before. You said you have some family, in this part of Texas.
Sure.
And, in the Houston area.
Absolutely.
So after Harvey, I think you came down this way. Can you share?
Yeah. So a lot of my family live not only in Houston, and they live up that way. I've some great family members that, work for Halliburton and a lot of great places, and they live up towards Houston. My attorney, my best friend, they're all up that way. I also have some family closer to the coast out here, up in towards Beaumont and things like that. And when Harvey hit, I had just got back into the United States, and for me it was drastic. I wasn't here. I can't imagine what it was like for the people that were here. I can't pretend to know what that's like, but it was drastic for me because I had loved ones in the path. And Texas is home, more than any place of any country that I've been in my entire life. But, it was drastic for me because I knew not only there were loved ones, but I had neighbors. I had fellow Texans that needed help. And so we orchestrated having teams come down from D.C., worked with a fantastic organization by World Hope International, and got people to not only give money, give supplies, brought 18-wheeler trucks, coordinated teams, at the drop of a hat, cases and cases of water just to make sure that people were sustaining. I mean, there's a lot still to be done. And so that was, for me, one of the big pushes for moving back home to Texas. And, you know, I'm thankful. I think God brought me home, and I'm very eager to roll up my sleeves and get to working. You know, I'm used to the boardroom, and I'm used to suits and things like that. But I'm also, you know, before all of that, I was used to swinging a hammer and helping people out. And that's really where my heart is.
That's awesome. Last week, we talked to an organization called the 4B Disaster Network Relief. They're a local organization, and that started as a coalition between some local churches here.
Sure.
And what they are doing right now is focusing on people who have not recovered from Harvey.
Absolutely.
So there's still work to be done, and it's hard to fathom. You know, we got a couple years away from Harvey, but there's a lot of people who still haven't recovered, or they're living without drywall, or they don't have plumbing. It's weird, but a lot of people have recovered, but a lot have not.
When we first got here, one of the things, and it's funny because I actually work with 4B pretty extensively. We do their first Saturday of every month.
Yeah.
They do a serving, and they have certain locations and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter if you don't know how to hang drywall, if you don't know how to do flooring. You know, sometimes they just need people to help. And so that's awesome, because I think they're a fantastic organization. But when we first got here, I connected with a few organizations, but they're the main one that our partnership really blossomed and grew with, and did assessments, went into people's houses a year after and saw, you know, people living in a tent inside of a house, people with no walls, people with no floor. And I mean, it will break your heart to see it. But like, for your listeners, you know, I think it's really important to just know, we never know what somebody down the block or around the corner is going through, but it is important for us to help out. And, you know.
Yeah, because even if you think about it, like a house, the house may look good on the outside.
Sure.
On the inside, there could be nothing.
Absolutely.
And it kind of goes the same with people. You know, when you were touching on this as well, you know, you had it all. You had, you know, everything on the outside, but there still felt like there was something missing.
And for me, the biggest thing is, you know, I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I don't even think I was born with a spoon. You know,
sport, plastic sport, maybe.
Yeah, we had to eat with our hands. But you know, my parents were fantastic because they are both workers. They're hustlers to the bone. They're not together anymore, but you know, I still commend them both because they worked hard to make sure that, you know, we didn't have luxuries, but we never went without either. But to understand that, you know, when you're raised with nothing and you don't have, you know, necessarily a relationship with God, or you don't have, you know, something driving you, money was driving me. Like, I just wanted to be rich. When people ask me, well, what are you going to be when you grow up? I would just say, I'm going to be rich. Like, I'm tired of being broke. And I don't use the word poor because I think poor is a mindset. I just didn't have money. And so by 25, man, I had more money than my parents and most people could even think or fathom or dream about. Toys, trucks, penthouse, all of that stuff. But like I expressed to you off air, you know, there was a void. There was an emptiness there. And I tried to fill it with everything in the world that was destructive, that it wasn't until I found something constructive, something real, something life-giving that changed my life. And I realized the money is just... It's funny because people ask me now, and I could care less about money. You know, it's a tool, just like anything else, just like technology. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you ended up coming back down here. You made the move, and I think you said you're out of Galveston now, and it's Ready, Set, Go Consulting. You also expressed, you know, talking at College of the Mainland, you know, trying to connect with the different cities, and I guess doing like PR and spreading awareness that sometimes needs help. You know, these businesses need help. But like, so why do you feel like that's something you need to do?
I feel like it's something that I need to do because it's a talent that I've been given. I didn't realize, it's hard for me to realize, like, when whatever your norm is, you know, if you're the best cook or if you're the best, you know, speaker, whatever it may be, you don't realize it's a gift until a certain point, because then you start seeing, well, not everybody can do this. And so for me, having been in media my entire life and my career and whatnot, I didn't realize how second nature it was to me. And so I just thought, well, anybody could do it. Well, I realized I was made to do it. I was born to do it. And so for me, was I born to do it to line my own pocket? Well, I made that mistake once. It's not about that. It's about helping those organizations. I'm actually a bit selective when it comes to my clients. There's certain clients that I say no to. There's certain clients that I've, said, well, this probably won't work after a certain amount of time. I can refer you to somebody else, but it's because I want to devote my life, my time to making the positive, having a positive influence and helping the right people. And so for me, I realized that it's not only a talent, but it's something I was born to do, and not everybody's good at it. So if I can help them grow their business, if I can help them grow their organization or their nonprofit or charities, I've worked with Alzheimer's Association and the American Heart Association, different things like that are a good cause that do a lot of good, but they may not be the best at advertising or marketing.
Yeah. Whenever you were speaking at College of the Mainland, whenever you speak to kids who are at that age, what kind of message do you share with them?
So for the number one, when we were speaking at College in the Mainland last week, it was being put on by a local lady by the name of Doreen Hughes, who is a John Maxwell speaker. And so I have been a fan of John Maxwell because my master's degree was actually written and taught by John Maxwell and his team. And so it was a master's in leadership. And so for that, it was specific men and women of College of the Mainland that are looking to be leaders of tomorrow. Now, they may not have been born with a silver spoon or a spoon at all, but they are looking to be somebody one day. And so I started that off, and the panel that I sat on were other community leaders, not only law enforcement, but previous NFL players, people who work in finance, all the above. And so for me, my message, everybody there has more experience in their own realm. They were, a little bit more seasoned than I am, meaning they're just a little bit older. But I want to give these kids a crash course what it means. Just because you were born somewhere doesn't mean you have to die there. There's plenty. I lost one of my best friends when we were very young in the neighborhood that we grew up in. And it really, had a hard time. It broke my heart because this guy could have been anything he wanted, but he got caught up in the life. Other family is the same. But for me, talking to them, it's about changing it. You can't change the hand that you were dealt, but you can know how to play the cards. And so for me, it's taking whatever situations that you're in, whatever situation you were born to, and changing those around, whether it's through technology, whether it's through hard work. For me, it was education and technology. And I realize it's not cookie cutter for everybody, but whatever they want, whatever they dream, whatever they aspire to is attainable. But you have to get rid of the distractions. You have to get rid of the destructive parts of their life.
Yeah, I think at a certain age, reality will hit you and you think like, man, I can't do that. Because whenever I think about a young child talking to them, what do you want to be? I want to be an astronaut. I want to be the president of the United States. Sure. And then whether that's other people, maybe it's your parents or other students or friends saying, man, you can't do that. Come on, pick something realistic. And we kind of stop dreaming. And then that mentality, like you talked about earlier, it's a mentality,
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes, those crushing those dreams is almost like a mentality, but you got to have that shift. Is that easy to do, to shift your mentality?
It is probably, I'd say, one of the most difficult things to do, to be honest with you, but it's worth doing. And I think that, when you see success stories, like I had mentioned to you, I've worked with celebrity clients. I've worked with people that, in the public eye, they matter. They didn't do it alone. Nobody does it alone. And so for that to happen, whether it's sports or whether it's business or whether it's singing, you have to go for it, but you have to not only use the people around you that are trying to help you, that are trying to be those positive influence, because maybe, one of your listeners or is a young person that doesn't have a positive influence. Maybe their parents aren't necessarily supportive, or, their parents aren't in their lives. I worked with a young guy in St. Louis who was a musical artist and, just didn't get the best feedback. His parents wanted him to just get a job, this, that, and the other. He's traveled all over the world, done shows in Phoenix and LA, Australia. He's working, in the music industry, and he's making traction, but nobody will out hustle this kid. He is just like, he eats, breathes, sleeps music. He is just creative all the time. And I remember there's times where he's gotten a job, but it's just so that he can still keep doing what he loves. And that kind of passion is what you need.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody has that, though. Some people, and that's the people that kind of set themselves apart. They're almost obsessed with it. I think of like Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely. You talk about how much they train. So we kind of joked off air, but I constantly talk in movie quotes. I constantly talk in music lyrics. I don't sing them because I'm not talented that way, but my wife would testify to that. So, but what I mean by that is there's this fantastic quote from Rocky. It says, for a 45-minute fight, you have to train for 45,000 minutes. 45,000 for a 45-minute fight. And what that means is like your 15 minutes of fame, or that time where you're on, where everybody's looking at you, and whether it's your athletic ability or your intellect or whatever it is, there's preparation that goes into that. And so it's not like you just show up and it happens. There's a lot of work into it. And I express that with my clients as well, because it's about everything that you put into it, everything that you're thinking about and training for and wanting to do until it's time. And when the time comes, you're ready for it.
Is it possible to be a successful business owner, to be a success without being obsessive, without being there, knocking the door down, kicking it down, trying to get to where you want to be? Is it possible?
It depends on the business, but my go-to answer for that is absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like if you're in it, you need to be all in it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great mentor that told me, he tells the story and he says, this very successful guy, he gets up and he's trying to get this, that, and the other. And he meets this, icon, this, expert, this guru, whatever you want to call him. And there was something in this guy that sparked this expert's interest. And he said, you know what, I'm going to give you a private lesson. Meet me at the beach tomorrow morning. So he goes to the beach, shows up in a suit, all tied up, ready to go. The other guy comes out in shorts. He doesn't know what he's thinking. Well, what's going on? And he said, okay, go ahead and take that suit off, and I need you to start walking out in the water. And so he starts sending, he doesn't know what he's going to do, but he just starts taking the suit off because this guy's an expert. This guy is the best of the best. Can you imagine if you saw Kobe and he's like, well, I'll teach you how to play basketball. Meet me at the beach. Take that off. Start walking out in the water.
You do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy knows how to ball.
Right.
And so you start going out and he goes out further and further in the water. And hopefully, he gets all the way out there to where the water's right above his mouth and his nose. And so he's just treading water as fast as he can. And the other guy's sitting out there and he's just telling him, he's like, keep going. And he's like, he's just struggling, trying to stay above water. And he told him, until you want success, until you want your business, your platform, your music, whatever it is, until you want that to as much as you want breath, you will not be successful. You have to be obsessed with it. I mean, there's times I was talking to a colleague of mine. I pulled an all-nighter, and it's something that I've been trying to stop doing. Again, I have a pregnant wife at home and things like that. But I'm notorious for pulling all-nighters. I'm notorious for, sleeping in the studio, or I'm notorious for, sitting at my computer until 7 a.m. I have certain clients that I tell them, if you try to contact me early in the morning, I'm just now powering down. This machine's just now going down. And what that means for me is, I want it more than you, because while you're sleeping, I'm working. While everybody's going, I'm trying to be better. And sometimes, my wife's brother jokes at me because he says I'm an avid reader, but he says that I don't read books, that I eat books because he's seen me just go through books like crazy. And, you know, it's important to gain knowledge. It's important to expand your horizons so that you can be obsessed, but so that you can understand things you may not have always understood.
Yeah. So you're always kind of pushing whenever it comes to gaining more information, whether that's reading books or, you know, seminars or listening to podcasts and all
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
I think that it's important. And I mean, it could be anything. I've learned tools for business. I've learned tools for clients that I would have never got from a business podcast or a business seminar or anything like that. I've learned them from off the wall things. I think that if you focus on, you know, those positive outlooks, if you focus on what works for you, I'm big about not being cookie cutter, because I'm not cookie cutter for my clients. But, you know, I'm a big believer in, you know, we're in the 21st century. We're able to do all of these things. I've been in part of my career, I was in 3 to 4 time zones in one day. So we would start off on the East Coast and end up, you know, say you go from New York and you're in New York in the morning, then you're in Chicago, and then Chicago, you go out to LA, you know, that's one day. And then by the time you get to LA, you're ready to go to sleep, but it's, you know, 6 p.m. and LA, to me, LA doesn't get started till about 8 or 9.
Yeah. Sometimes
9 or 10. And so whether it's a business deal or whatever it is in media, you know, you've constantly got to be pushing. And I think for my life, it's solely an example of what it means to be obsessed, what it means to push harder than anybody else.
So I know we just talked about not being cookie cutter or giving, you know, everybody is different and it's all custom, right?
Sure.
And now I'm going to ask you to do something
right.
kind of. So if you could give advice to people who are business owners, we touched a little bit on analytics. You got to know who your customers are. You got to realize, you know, what they look like, so that way you can reach your message to them. We also talked about, you know, social media. Is there any advice that you could give? We have a lot of business owners who tune in, that you can kind of give in a general way, you know, without having all the information of what their
I'll give them
is.
all the information. How about that? Yeah. So, you know, one of the big things for me is stay in your lane. You know, I get that I'm a bit biased when it comes to that because I'm in the business of that. But if you're putting bad content out there, you're hurting yourself. You know, you're going to be hurting your business. If you're wanting to push your dream, again, whether your dream is a food truck or your dream is a franchise, it doesn't matter. But you don't push bad content. Simply just don't do it. For what you could spend on, you know, things that don't really matter, you can allocate and look at that. I've written, you know, hundreds of business plans with different people and help them with budgeting and stuff like that. And whereas I do that on a non-disclosure, so I don't, you know, I can't sit here and tell you what company makes what and things. I take it very seriously. But at the same sense, what I take very seriously is how they're spending and how they're allocating what they have. You know, I realize small businesses and startups and things like that, you don't have a whole lot of money. But in today's day and age, you can spend a little bit and get a lot for it. And so just be smart about it. Don't put bad content out there. I would look, whether it's myself or somebody else, that you can, maybe you can't hire them on retainer. Maybe you can't hire them every month or on a regular basis, but you can work with them for certain events. Maybe you can work with them for your grand opening, or you have, you know, a cookout or a fish fry or something.
Or a taco cook-off.
Or a taco
Everybody has
cook-off.
those.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
On October 12th, 9 to 3 p.m.
9 to 3 p.m. Yeah, I love that for sure. And so, you know, it's important to, you know, certain events like that you do it the right way, because how you're seen to the community around you, how you're seen not only to the physical community around you, but the digital and online community around you, are all potential customers. Are people going to want to come back to your restaurant? Are they going to want to come back to your, you know, franchise or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I've talked to people and they're kind of under the idea of, hey, content, whether it's good, bad, any content, at least it's content, right?
Yeah, it's it's funny because my baby sister and I laugh because we have this, every dad has those few dad sayings that they always say.
Dad jokes.
Yeah. My dad never really had dad jokes, but he had these like dad, phrases or words of wisdom for us. And one of them is no news is good news. And didn't really understand that. I didn't know what that meant for a long time. So I kind of rely on that to, when you just said that, just because it's content doesn't mean that it's good content. And and this isn't me saying this, this is Entrepreneur, this is Forbes magazine, this is, the people who do this for a living, that do all of these studies and things like that. And they say, if you put bad content out, you basically shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to business sometimes.
Yeah. That makes sense. Right now it's 9:45. This is KHEA Radio.com, 99.5 FM. If you're watching on Facebook, smash the share button. Share this out. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know here in the Facebook stream. If you're watching on Channel 46, feel free to call a friend, text a friend. Hey, tell them to turn on 46.2 that we're hanging out. We're talking to Ready, Set, Go Consulting. We got Joshua here talking about marketing, talking about business, talking about what you can do to take your business to the next level or even get it started. You talked about writing a business plan. I talk to a lot of people and they have a dream.
Sure.
Sometimes even here, guilty of like, hey, Wild West, we'll figure it out as we go,
Sure.
Ready, set, fire, or fire, ready, set, however they say,
absolutely.
How important is that if you have something brand new starting up that you kind of put it down on paper in a way that makes sense?
I think that it's pertinent. I mean, it's essential. You have to have it. And whether it's putting it down on paper, just getting those ideas, sometimes those ideas come at a weird time. They could come at 3:00 in the morning. Write them down. For me, I use tools like I have, whether it's on the computer or the tablet or the phone. If I have ideas, I use certain applications that I can just brain dump, or I can actually hand write everything digitally so that I don't lose the piece of paper or a business card or something like that. If you hand me a business card, I'm going to take a picture of it right then and there. I store it digitally. It does all that cool, fancy stuff because, it keeps my overhead costs low. I don't have to have, a personal assistant. I don't have to have all of that stuff because it works. The technology works for me.
Is there an app for that?
There's always an app for that.
What is it?
Card Cruncher.
Card Cruncher. See, that's awesome because a business card it's necessary, but then managing, sure. Hey, how do you make sure you keep this information?
Old school people listening are going to remember a Rolodex. And so I remember, Rolodex, and I remember my boss at the time had a Rolodex, and he used to tell me all the time that his Rolodex was worth millions because of the contacts that he had and he had made and things like that. And I was one of his first employees that was like all digital. And, he taught me things, how to make notes and whatnot. And we have much better apps today than we did back then. But, there's a way that you don't want to lose that information. Maybe you just walked out of a business meeting and just hit a home run. I write everything down from the person's first name, maybe likes, dislikes. There's a funny clip on The Office, and it talks about Michael Scott, and he's got a Rolodex, and Dwight steals his Rolodex, and he goes in and he starts reading off the Rolodex, and he says things to a client that he shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
But he would only Michael Scott would be the only one to understand that. He said, green means go, so go ahead and don't say that. Nobody knows that. But to you got to find out what works for you. So whether it's keeping a Rolodex, old school, keeping those business cards in a business card holder in your car, but always knowing which client you're in front of, which client you're understanding, and to know the best way to service them.
All right. Hey, what's the vision for Ready, Set, Go?
So for me, the vision of Ready, Set, Go, on a personal note, is to build a legacy for my children. So I got my first child on the way. Ready, Set, Go isn't the only business that I'm tied to, but it is it's my number one. And so Ready, Set, Go is to build a legacy for my child, and that's all of my businesses. But for me, professionally, Ready, Set, Go is about helping community helping businesses. I realize that not everybody's the best at marketing and advertising, where I have, close to 15 years experience when it comes to it. For me, the number one thing is to help them grow. And again, I'm selective with my clients. So I've had clients offer me, $50,000, $60,000 for a contract. And I've turned it down. I've said no to it because they're just...
What kind of things would make you want to do that? Like, what doesn't make sense to you? Is it like a moral thing, or like, hey, the vision doesn't line up?
It would be both. Sometimes it's been a moral issue. You can make business out of anything, but I don't necessarily have to tie my business to that. So, I do a lot of philanthropy. I do a lot when it comes to charity and, different churches, and my home church of Resonate here in Texas City. But the biggest thing for me is, I want it to be, my business is an extension of me. It's of what I want to do. And so for that, I don't want to necessarily be tied to something I'm not proud to be tied to.
Especially if you want to leave it as a legacy for your kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that right now, my wife and I, we don't know if our kid's a boy or a girl.
Oh, y'all are, because when is the baby due?
October 24th.
So they've had the results, but you don't want to know.
Every time we walk to UTMB,
You almost have to wear a sign, because they'd be like, how's the baby?
I yell at, not in a bad way, but I announce it when I walk in, because if you always get a different nurse or different doctor, I'm like, we don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So, they just this one lady looked at me like I was crazy. And so I don't get a plug for them, but I've been extremely happy with UTMB, and they've all been fantastic over there, even looking at me side eye and crazy when I'm announcing, don't tell me if it's a boy or girl. So
yeah, that's a little old school.
Dude, the way that I see it is, it's my job to know what's going to happen in business. It's my job to know what's going to happen before it does. Mm-hmm. That's been my job for almost these last 15 years. And so for me, it's something that I don't want to know. It's it's probably the only great surprise that I'll get. It's my job for there not to be surprises. And so, that's a surprise I look forward to.
How do you all prepare and decorate? And does the family know? Does any of the family know?
Nobody knows.
That's good.
My parents swear that I know and that I'm just not telling them. My dad, and my mom tell me all the time. They just say, well, I know you know. And so it's really important to, have a platform with KHEA radio to yell, hey, I don't know, Mom and Dad, and so we really don't. We're just super excited. It's a blessing either way. Super proud to be a dad. What I'm going to work hardest at in my life. So,
do you watch Friends?
Come on. Yeah.
Well, I figured if you watch The Office, you probably watch Friends. So it reminds me of the, Ross and Rachel having a baby. Sure. And, Ruth's on the table. Right. It's like, well, you only want it to be that name because you know. And he's like, no, I don't know. And then they know.
They're just like trying to dig down. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what about names? Y'all have just a little on both?
Well, we have one of each. So if it is my son, my legacy. So I'm the last of my family name.
Okay.
So I don't have any brothers. I'm the last of my family name. So, in a way, I want a son. Everybody swears that I'll have, I would be a better dad for a daughter. But, I'm looking forward either one.
Why not both?
Right. Well, we know it's not twins.
Not twins, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. My wife I think she'd have a heart attack if she had twins. So she's about as big around as my little finger. And so somebody described at the baby shower, she looks like a toothpick with an olive stuck in it. So she's super cute though.
Yeah.
And so if it's my son, his name will be Tristan Alexander. And if it's a daughter, her name will be Isla, which is spelled Isla, which is island in Spanish, because she'll be Boy.
Yeah.
Isla Georgiana. And Georgiana is a family name, a matriarchal family name. So my wife is British Caribbean and from the island of Antigua Barbuda, which is our second home. Love it. And her grandmother just passed away about a month ago. And that was her name. Georgiana. It's my wife's name, my wife's middle name. And so, just to keep the legacy going.
That's awesome. Well, those are both beautiful names.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Man, whenever it comes to having children, so I have a son who is 6 and I have a daughter that's 2.
Okay.
And my son, I was excited. I'm like, oh yeah, baseball. I'm just thinking about all the things. We'll be able to do this and that and play music together. We'll start a band. Of course, he'll want to play with me.
He'll be a musician.
Yeah, maybe. It's funny because kids have their own plans. So like baseball, he's like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Sure.
We'll try martial arts and this other stuff.
Right.
But whenever we had my daughter, that changed me because I always was like, oh, if it's another boy, that'll be awesome.
Sure.
But like I just found out.
You turn into mush.
Man, yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's why everybody says that I'll be a really good dad for a daughter, because I'm definitely not above tea parties and all the like. I mean, I was like that with my sister. Like I said, I had 4 stepsisters, and they're all great people, and so I love having the relationship with that. I've had very influential and great women in my life, and so I'd like to raise one as well.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to a son, my wife's father came to the United States to play soccer. Played pro back in the day. Her adopted brother is from Brazil, and he plays pro now in St. Louis. Her youngest brother, plays college. Like, they big time soccer family, or football. And so I'm not the best. I didn't grow up playing it.
So if it'll be interesting to see if the genes.
Well, I don't even know if it's the genes, because they told me all before. They're like, well, if you have a son, you're gonna have to ship him up here so we can teach him how to play soccer, because they're phenomenal, right? They're phenomenal. Their skill is just crazy, but none of them are very big. Like, they're not big men. They make fun. My family, my wife's family, make fun of me for being a giant. They call me Baby Dino, because they're just like, you're a big guy, And they tell me all the time, man, if I had my skill in soccer, but I was your size, I'd be like Ronaldo. And I was like, well, I mean, I can't help that I'm a big guy, but I can't play football the way.
So maybe it'll be the skill and your size combined.
I'm hoping so, man.
Let's go.
So. Let's do it. Ready, set, go.
Ready, set, go.
Absolutely.
Hey, how can somebody get a hold of you if they are looking to contact you for any needs at all?
Yeah, absolutely. They can, they can find us all over social media at Ready, Set, Go Consulting. You can check us out at readysetgo.consulting. We're above the com. We don't even need it. We bought the whole thing. So readysetgo.consulting online. Check us all over social media. We're there. You can call us, locally if you're down here in Galveston County at 409-234-1135.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share while you're here?
Man, I just wanted to thank you so much. Thank you. Thank your listeners for having me, getting a chat, spread some awareness, spread some, love and positive, just conversation for the people. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to definitely get hooked up and maybe do some cool stuff together in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, worst comes to worst, October 12th, I know a good place to get some tacos.
That's what's up right here at KHEA. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have Dr. Bo Williams here in studio. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Boom. So we're still on Facebook and the TV stuff, but we're off the FM. But yeah, thank you for hanging out, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey, thank you for letting me borrow your pen. You're awesome.
Keep it? Can you sell me this pen? That was like.
That's yeah.
For sure. So there's a trick to that.
What is it?
Absolutely. So sell me this pen, right? So
yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, well, this is a great pen, this, that, and the other, and they kind of allude to it a little bit in that movie.
Yeah.
It's well, what do you do for work? Well, this, that, and the, okay, so you do contracts for people, you get in, it's about asking questions.
Right.
Like I talk about with businesses, it's about knowing who your client is, knowing who your people are and whatnot.
Not to be custom.
Absolutely,
to them, yeah.
Absolutely. And so it's, I'm a waitress. Oh, well, you got to take down orders, don't you?
Yeah.
Or, well, I'm a financial analyst. Okay, so you must do big contracts. What do your clients sign with? Do you just give them a BIC? Or you throw down a Mont Blanc and say, it's $1 million deal.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, do you follow Grant Cardone at all?
Oh.
He was here. He was here on Saturday.
Yeah,
did you see that?
I did.
I had some friends and family who went, and we had some stuff going on. But I saw like those sponsored. Grant, he's great, but like those posts, they don't show up on accident.
No, absolutely. It's from people like me that are scanning
making
what you
sure
like.
it happens.
Absolutely, making sure it happens. Absolutely.
It's like, yeah, man, September 14th, I'm gonna be in Houston.
Sure.
Come have breakfast. I was like, oh man, I want to go. But I know, I had some friends that went. I saw some pictures, but yeah, he's a huge inspiration. When I read the 10X rule, like,
Sure.
actually I listened to the audiobook, but this was like 2018 at the beginning of the year, and that changed my life.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that, he puts out some great content, and he's a larger than life personality with it, which is important, and I have a tendency to be that way myself, and I try to calm it down sometimes when I'm in front of people, but like, that's who you are, so you can't turn it off. And so it's important, and like I said, he has a lot of great content that he's pushing out.
He does. I know sometimes, I used to, and I love music still, but like, just like at the gym, listening to like the Millionaire Booklet.
Sure.
Instead of
big time.
Yeah.
One of the big things is like, I'll run on the treadmill or something like that, and be listening to, like the crazy nerdiest business podcast that you can think of, but I told you off air, it's what gets me up in the morning. It's what gets me going. So why not?
Cool. Hey, man.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. All right, guys. Hey, stay tuned because we're going to have Dr. Bo Williams in, and he's going to be sharing his brand new book, brand new single. We have a copy of it right here that we're going to be playing, and I'm going to make sure that you guys get a chance to listen to it. And if you haven't, it's called God Kept Me, and it should be available everywhere. I know it's available to stream. It's available to download, to purchase. And we're going to learn all about it, about the name and the career and everything else. So, hello, how y'all doing?
Hello.
Y'all can have a seat right here, and we'll get y'all situated. I'm glad y'all are able to come in today.
Yes, I'm glad we are able to come.
All right. So right now we are live on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And we are going to switch over to the FM, but we're also on channel 46 with our video stream going on as well.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So we're excited, and I originally saw that new music was on the works from James. Me and James, we played basketball together, right? Here at the school, at the Christian school.
Yeah.
You guys are playing basketball. That's right.
Yeah.
I was
Told you
telling
about
Ethan
it,
about that.
Yeah. So
On the same basketball team?
yeah, we played
In high school.
in high school. Yeah, but I'm trying to think. So that would have been my junior year, and James was one grade above me, and man, we were good.
You guys were good.
Yeah.
He always spoke highly of you.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were a hustler on that team.
That was my role. You got to
Yeah.
know your role.
You got to know your role. That's right.
We'll let those guys shoot. My job was just like, I'm gonna go hustle and fight for the rebounds. You know.
Yes.
But little did we know, here we are today.
I know.
And you're married into the family.
Mhm.
And it is your radio station. God is doing things.
God is good.
And after all this time, 46 years, my husband and I, God kept me.
Yes.
God
Yes,
has kept us.
kept us.
God is keeping you. And we know that everybody can testify to a thing or two about what God has kept them from.
That's true. That is very true.
Amen.
That is very true. So here's what we're gonna do. So right now it's 10:02,
Okay.
and I'm gonna go ahead and play this song for our folks who are listening on the FM,
Okay.
and then after that's over, we'll go on and kind of go on the FM as well and kind of talk about it,
Okay.
and then I'll play it again in the later on, maybe even a couple times as we here we go.
Okay.
Good.
So yeah, they're hearing it on the FM and on the app and everything else, and I'll just kind of watch. But
Okay.
man, so how are you doing today?
Doing wonderfully well.
All right.
Wonderfully well. Yes.
So the new music, and this is the first taste
Yes.
of it's the first single. But is there more music coming?
Oh yes. That's the first single from the album. Now the album is kind of based on our life story, our love story.
Yes. So we have a lot of them are love songs.
Yes.
And the title of the new album is
Timeless.
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 Ooh, I like that.
Yes. God is timeless.
He is.
If you look at my husband, you say timeless.
With God in the Bible, like time is just kind of it doesn't really exist to
Yes,
him.
That's right.
He's the same yesterday, today, forever.
Yes.
And I remember being a kid and just trying to understand, like in the beginning, God created it. I was like, so what happened before that?
Right.
Why did he wait so long? Like, if I think of eternity this way, there's eternity that way. And, like, I had to stop. I had to stop because it doesn't exist to him. There is no time.
That's right. Yes.
We created that ourselves, and he's timeless.
Yes, he is timeless. You know.
So God kept me. What does that mean to you?
Well, many things. The number one thing is my wife and I have been married for 46 years, and he's kept our marriage together and kept our love together. She's my very best friend. But I have a testimony. I was doing a concert in Wichita Falls, and after the concert, it was raining very hard, and my daughter was driving and my wife sitting in the passenger seat, and I was sitting in the back, and we didn't know the area, and my daughter rolled off into a puddle of water, and the car stopped, and she said, "Well, Dad, what do I do now? The car stopped." I said, "Well, push the gas to the floor, put the pedal to the metal." She said, "I already have it to the floor." And so my wife, by this time, she had jumped out of the window on the passenger side, and the water was waist high.
Oh, my goodness.
And then my daughter jumped out, and it was a kind of uphill climb. So eventually I got out and got on the front hood, slid down into the water, and I'm thinking, okay, Lord, what's going to happen when I get up that hill? And there was a Hispanic couple waiting on us, and they didn't even speak English, but they had the van door open, and they took us to our hotel. Of course, Nicole is a Spanish teacher, my daughter, and so she translated for them and for us. And but that was God, for them to be in place for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, we're talking about some near-death experiences.
Yeah, the car was
that God
spinning
has
after
kept us
as soon
from.
as we got out the car, it was spinning.
Wow.
Yeah, we could have
And,
been in
even
it.
though we think about the time that the anniversary from 9/11 was just a few days ago.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
And I'm bringing you way back on 9/10.
Oh, wow.
He was on the flight from New York
Yes.
back to Houston.
Wow.
And 3 times the flight was delayed. And it was like the captain.
He said, "I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's going on now."
And then, thank God, he made it home on 9/10 that evening.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in the morning, we're watching the news, and we thought, "Is this a movie?"
Yes.
It was really what was
Wow.
happening.
Here we go. The track descended, so I'm going to introduce you guys. Here we go.
Okay.
Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Right now it's 10:06. You just heard God Kept Me, the brand new single from Dr. Bo Williams, who is actually in studio here today with his beautiful wife. How you guys doing today?
We're doing wonderful.
All right. Hey.
Yes, great. God is so wonderful. And I'm just so happy to be here with my wonderful husband.
All right now.
Yeah. So y'all have been married how long again?
46 years.
years.
So what's the secret to being married 40? I've been married for 5.
5.
5 wonderful years, but I need 41 more.
Well, 5 is the number for grace. So you're doing good.
I need it. I need grace every day.
We tell everybody, marriage is a lifetime commitment.
It is.
Yes.
And communication brings about understanding. So all of the things that you were doing when you were dating and all that before you got married,
Yes.
you keep on doing that. You just keep God first. You put
Yeah.
God first in your marriage, and you'll be all right.
But you remember when you were pursuing
Yes.
your wife.
You got it constantly.
Yeah, you know how you would bring her flowers and
Yeah.
and you write nice little love notes and tell her sweet things. Well, then after you've married for a while, you think, "Oh, I don't have to do that anymore." But guess what? They still need that. They still require that,
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do that, it makes a wife just feel wonderful. But just think, if you don't do it, and then she's passing through the hallway or something, and some guy say, "Oh, Sister so-and-so, you sure look nice today. That dress you have is wonderful, and your hair is so pretty." She goes, she may not.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, but she'll think, well, my husband don't even tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to let no brother outdo me. Come on.
There you go. That's the secret. Hey, if somebody asked me what's the secret to being married 5 years, I would say learning to say I'm sorry and saying I was wrong, even if I don't feel like I was wrong.
That's
hey, you
right.
know what?
Yeah.
I was wrong, and I'm sorry.
You're smart. You're
And I'm just
smart.
like,
You're
a big
smart.
hug.
Yeah, you're very smart.
That's the
right.
secret.
But we always tell our couples, "Hey, look for reasons to stay and not for
Not an excuse to leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's the saying, "Oh, the grass looks greener on the other side," and it's not.
It's really not.
not.
It's really not.
No, because the same set of problems, if you can't resolve these problems right here, the same set of problems, or different set of problems in the next marriage, you're still going to have to learn how to resolve these things.
And then
But when
starting
you-
over.
and
That,
start
I mean,
over.
come on, who needs
Lord.
that?
Man.
But you just trust God. Trust
Yes.
God. And for and for those of those that have not made it and gone into a second marriage, it's okay. Failure is not final.
Come on now.
You start there and you said, okay, I'm going to do better.
Yes.
I am going to be better. I'm going to do better. And we're going to learn how to just, trust each other and love each other.
I agree.
LOVE.
Yes.
All right.
You know, the one thing about marriage, I think it's the husband's responsibility to make sure that things don't get boring in the marriage. So you have to be creative, in things that you do with your wife. Don't just be a couch potato, and just sit home and watch TV all the time. So you got to be creative to involve your wife and do things together. As a matter of fact, when we were raising our kids, we have 3 girls and 1 boy. I did the girls' hair. I mean, I learned how to braid hair, and just think how my wife really appreciate that, And it's like I would get that my when I would go to the gym and work out and get my muscles all pumped up and put a little lotion all on my body and everything.
Yeah.
And I think my wife was going to get all excited about it, And she said, "Oh, that's nice, Daddy." But then when I get the vacuum cleaner and she goes, "Oh, Daddy." And I'm like, "Oh, man, let me start washing dishes."
That's what really gets okay. Man, see, I'm
You're
taking notes.
taking notes, yeah.
Vacuum. Yeah, because I was at the gym this morning. She was asleep. I woke up, went to the gym. She's still asleep when I got back.
Yeah.
Not a word. Man,
But
I'm
get
gonna
that
try that.
vacuum cleaner, boy.
Yeah, because God, we get tired too. We're moms, and our goals is to try to be the best wife that we could be to our husband, the best mom that we could be to our children.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of challenges that you have to, deal with. A lot of adjustments that you have to make. Your life just changed. What you used to do, you don't do them anymore. Now
Right.
you have these precious little children that God has entrusted into your lives to raise. And so when my husband helped, it frees my
Yeah, I
hand.
reserve her.
Yeah.
It frees my hands so that I could, take time and minister to my
Come on
husband
now.
in
Yeah.
the way that a
Yes.
wife should minister to their
Yes.
husbands.
Now that y'all
Hallelujah.
mention it, she does get pretty happy when I take the trash out.
Yeah.
Now that y'all, I was like, I remember I was taking it out last night. She's like, "Oh, thank you," and I was, and it is nice to be told. I mean, those are things I should be doing anyways all the
Yes.
time. But just she does get excited. Yeah, not so much about the gym or like playing basketball if I go do that. But okay,
But it's
makes
just
sense.
something about when you guys work things out together.
yes,
I could remember times that my husband would go in the garage, wash his car. I'd stop what I was doing. I said, I'll go in the garage and help him.
Yep,
Yeah.
you wash
If he
the
was
car.
going to wash the cars, I'm helping him drying out the cars, shining the tires. It just makes it fun.
Yeah.
When you're helping
Do it
together, each other doing it, when you're doing it to each other.
like being married that's a journey in itself, and then you add children into the mix,
Yes.
and it's like a whole different layer.
Yes.
And it's like you got to relearn how to be married almost because you don't want to put the kids above your spouse or they're like the balance.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we did that together, so I never felt left out
Yeah.
because we took care of the kids together, and as a matter of fact, to take stress off of her, I would take the kids away and let her have her free time. As a matter of fact, when Nicole, our number one, was a baby, when she was, she was about 11 months old, and I left and went to, we was in California at the time?
We were in California at the time, and my husband took baby girl Nicole to visit his mom
In Texas,
in
yeah.
Texas, and they were gone for about 4 days.
Yes, so she
But
and
that,
I.
sometimes we need that time, that freedom. So it's just something that's really important because you're used to having that time alone, and then now it's no longer there. You share it you have to divide it with so many
Yeah.
people, but it brings a joy. Children are a blessing,
Oh, yeah.
and all of my kids, they've all been such a blessing to
Oh,
us.
yes. We've never
They
had
really have.
problems with our kids. And you were so glad to see us when we got back. That's
Yeah.
good news. She was glad to see the kids, but she was glad to see Daddy, too.
Of course, of course. So, the brand new single, God Kept Me. And
Yes.
we had the opportunity, with our audience to share that out on 99.5 FM.
Yes.
I've seen you've been making the rounds. You were on Deborah Duncan on the day of the release.
Yes.
What was that
yes.
experience like?
That was very awesome. She was excited about it, and in between sets, she was singing the song. all the
Yeah.
time. But last night we had quite an experience. I was at the House of Blues last night.
How did that go?
That was great. It was it was gospel brunch. Is what
Okay.
it was at the House of Blues.
But on the day that the single was released, September the 6th, we had the release of the single, we had the release of the video, God Kept Me, and we had Bo live on the Deborah Duncan show.
Yes.
But the day right before that, one of the largest radio station, I think it was,
Yeah.
in Houston,
Yes.
the
We
song
debuted number
debuted
5.
at number 5
Wow.
on that station before the release of the single.
Yes.
And now
yes,
tell
that
me,
was
God's
exciting.
hand was definitely
That
on
the
this
Lord's
project.
hand is on it. Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's the favor of God, but you have been, you put a lot of work in.
Oh yes. Over the years, I've put a lot of work in and continue to put the work in. If it's worth having, it's worth working for.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, because I'm not at your level of being a musician, but I have played, for a portion of my life, and I love music, but it's
Yes.
hard. It's not easy. Traveling, it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
Here's the thing I think of. So I'm 33 years old. I remember being 20 and I thought I knew everything. I knew nothing, right? But then I saw okay, I'm 25, and then I'm like, man, there's 16-year-olds, chomping at my heels, and they're good. Like, where do these kids come from? How do you stay at the top of the game for so long?
Yes. Well, you keep up with the times. And I learned that from Sam Cooke years ago. He said, he watched people and listened to their conversations, what they're talking about, and what's going on at that time in season. And so that really stuck with me, So I kind of pattern after that,
Okay.
To just keep up with things that are going on, watch what people are doing and what they're saying, and I just go with that flow. Even that's when you're writing songs, you just write about what people are talking about and things that they can relate to.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you start singing? At a very young age?
I started singing when I was 5 years old, in public. My grandfather had a barber shop, and I would be in the barber shop with my grandfather, and he would tell the customers that my grandson, he can sing, and they say, oh, well, sing us a song, and I would sing songs, and they would give me money, 50 cents, $1, and boy, that was a lot of money for a little kid
Yes,
back
it was.
then,
So when did you realize you were different? Because people, a lot of people can sing, and I'm sure people were like, okay, he can sing. Like, I didn't know he could sing.
Well, there was a big annual talent contest, and it was put on. I don't know if you probably remember, but it was Wine Gardens at the time, and they had this big stage, and they would put on a big talent show every year annually. And I was, I guess, about 10 years old, and I won the first prize. Just a little kid.
At 10?
Yeah.
All right.
That's-
And there's like people of all ages there?
Yeah, and when they give me the cash prize and everything, and I thought, wow, if I can make a living
Hey.
with just singing, then I made up my mind. Then this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And that's exactly what I did. I've been doing that for all my life.
So at 10 years old, were you already singing in church?
I was singing. Well, my father was the pastor. It wasn't a choice, I had to sing in church. Yes.
Yeah.
My mother was the choir director, and it was 7 boys and 1 girl in our family. The girl was the baby. So we had a built-in choir, So and then sometime when we first started the church, I guess it was only 5 or 6 people other than us. So we were the choir. We were deacons and everything.
And there was 2 churches. There was Reverend Williams, James. He had 2 churches.
Yeah, we went to one on the first and second Sunday, and the other one on the third.
So he
and fourth
pastored 2
Sunday.
churches.
He pastored 2 churches, and they both was about 30, 40 miles away from home.
So you grew up in church.
Grew up in church.
Probably spent the night at church if you had to, make the
if
drive
I
back.
had to, you're right.
Man.
You're right. But my mother was a great singer, Unfortunately, she never recorded, and I don't know. I think my daddy could have did a little better in that area, but I used to love to hear my mother sing. It was so soothing to hear her sing. And when she would sing in church, she would close her eyes, and throw her head back. And while she had her eyes closed and her head back, people just falling out, in the church and shouting and big hats flying and stuff like that. And I thought, wow, what an amazing thing, the power of a song. But then when you add the anointing to it, see, it's the anointing that destroys yokes.
Amen.
Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So you grew up singing in
Grew up
church,
singing in church.
and then you
Yes.
started to see, success at a very young age, 10 years old.
Yes. But that when in my teenage years, I started to embrace the R&B.
Yeah.
I got attracted to the R&B music, and
What were you
and
listening to?
I was listening to Jackie Wilson, Sam Cooke, and Donny Hathaway.
Mm-hmm.
Those was my favorites.
Yeah.
And so I guess I kind of developed my style that way, And people still today compare me with Sam Cooke and Jackie Wilson and that type of thing,
Yeah.
But,
Did you always feel it was important to sing for God, use your talent for Him?
well, I had, like I said, I had no choice when I was a kid. But after I grew up and knew, for myself, the love of God, that I wanted to sing for the Lord. That's my first choice, Of course, God anointed me to sing love songs, and you may not remember this. You might be a little young for it, but a song, "The Greatest Gift God Gave to Man is the Woman." I was the writer and the singer of that song, and BET that was the most requested song in 18 years. "The Greatest Gift" by Bo Williams was the most requested song on that network in 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what, Gardner? When Bo started singing for Capitol Records,
Yes.
he signed a contract years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he would write a song, he would always put God in it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the record company, when you're signed with a record company, usually you are being controlled by
Right.
what they want you to sing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, but Bo always would put God in the lyrics. And a lot of times they wouldn't take all of his lyrics, because at the time when you're with a secular record company, they want to promote secular, they want to promote
Yeah.
their
And they want to
artists
promote sex
as a
and,
single,
yeah.
not as a married man, single.
Uh-huh.
Because I think their goal is, to make money, but it's to promote him as a single or a sex symbol.
Yes.
So, because, people want to buy, they want people to buy the records, but mostly women love to buy,
Yes.
the records and love songs and things like that. But he never wanted to write lyrics that would, sell drugs or sex and
Yeah.
things like that. But after a while, with being with Capitol Records, he said, it's like God was tugging at him. He says, you know
Yes.
what? I am not going to be singing music that's going to send our young people to hell. He says, I'm getting out of this contract. And we prayed and believed God that he would come out of that contract with Capitol Records. And then he started singing with
Light
Records
Records.
and
Uh-huh.
started
Singing
working on his
gospel,
on
Christian
gospel
music,
music,
yes.
Christian
Mhm.
music. And he's been singing it ever since.
But the song that was really famous, the love song that I did, was "There's Just Something About You." It went a little something like this: "There's just something about you, and the things you do. I thank God I found you." Oh, I felt
Yay.
something.
But you'd have to keep God in the mix.
Yeah, keep God in there.
Because they can take out, or add stuff, but
Right.
whenever it's like in the hook, it's
Yes,
like, no,
yeah,
it's
they
part of
can't
the
take
hook.
that out.
You can't take this out, man. Or you could take me out the contract, and I'm gonna go sing, gospel somewhere else.
That's right. That's right.
But even now, okay, on this new project, Timeless.
Yes.
Okay. The love songs that's in this, now Bo have always sung ballads.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The love songs, okay, this is how it all began. Billy Dorsey is a phenomenal writer.
Writer and producer, yes.
Producer.
Mhm.
And he has won Grammy for writing for other artists.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we were very fortunate and blessed that now he is not only our producer, but our son-in-law.
I saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw that. Hey, look at God again.
Yes, look at God again.
So he's married, and our middle daughter, and so he says, "I'm going to interview you and Dad, and I'm going to write your life story
Yes.
in the form of of a song." And he did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
And now this song, "God Kept Me," is also part of our life story too.
Yes.
So and this is featuring the Hamiltons.
All right.
Yes.
And we are just asking everybody to support this
Yes,
single.
yes.
It's available on social media, on all of the social media outlets, Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, Google Plus,
Yes.
Plays.
You can
Music.
download it, stream it.
Yes.
Yes.
Where's the because there's a music video too.
Yes, it is.
Where's that available?
YouTube.
You can go to
You can
YouTube.
get YouTube?
and pull that up.
Yes, and the website is the official Bo Williams
Yes.
website. But you could go to YouTube and watch the video.
Yes.
It's "God Kept Me" featuring the Hamiltons,
Yes.
Bo
All right.
Williams.
So not only is there the single,
But
we got a book.
we got the
Yes,
book, God Kept
yes.
Me book, and actually this is a 21-day devotional, and so every day you can get up and get your praise on, get your scripture on.
Yeah, I was at Pastor Walter Hallam's house the other day, and he had this book on his on the table, and he was he was marked, because he was on a day,
Yes, yes.
going through it.
Yes.
And so that's anytime I see someone like that is reading a book, then I know I need to get
Oh,
a
yes,
copy for
yes.
myself.
Oh yeah, we know Pastor Walter Hallam. He's a very sharp individual.
Oh, yes.
In the Word of God. I
Yes,
mean,
he is. And,
he's-
and Pastor used to bring, how we
Yes.
first met him, he would book my
book
husband
me to come.
to
Yes.
come and sing here at the church, minister here many years ago. That was back in the
Yes,
early,
that was early. Yes, right.
years too. So we've
That's
been
before
knowing
my
your
kids
father
were
long,
going to
for
school.
a long
here.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes, an anointed man of
Yes.
God. I mean, teaching the word
Oh yes. Yes.
right here, a good Bible teaching church.
Oh wow.
and,
Yeah.
Abundant Life
As a
Christian.
matter of
I
fact,
tell
if you're looking for a church home, I would
highly recommend
Abundant Life and for Pastor Walter Hallam to be your pastor.
Pastor Walter Hallam, and he used to say, "Bo, one day, when I
He
die,
said, when I
go
get
to heaven,
heaven,
he says, I'm gonna sing like Bo Williams, and you're gonna have red hair like me."
Oh yeah, that,
okay.
I want to
That's a
sing
heavenly
like Bo Williams too. If we can put that one, I don't know what I have to offer you. But I at least want the voice. I want the voice. And those are, that's something. That's a God-given talent.
It is.
Yes,
it
it
is.
is.
There's some voices that it is what it is. Like you can train all day long, but
Yes.
with like the range and the tone and everything, you can't
Yes.
learn that. It's
No,
God.
It's a God-given talent. But being a vocal coach for 30 years or so, if you have something for me to work with, I can bring the very best you out of you. As a matter of fact, I do have some students that are non-professional, but most of my students are professional. And people like George Benson has pursued me and studied me for 30 years. These are his words. And he says since I've been his vocal coach, he can hit notes now that he haven't hit in 20 years.
there you
So
go.
There's a little something.
That's
Yes,
cool.
Yes, and he's one of the artists in his age category that's still working well today.
Yeah.
And not only that, for God to allow me to keep my voice and
Yeah.
Yes,
most importantly, the anointing. I think that is such a blessing, and I don't take it for granted or take it lightly. I thank God every day for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of work that went into that, like
Yes.
keeping up with your body and
Yes.
not abusing in any way.
Exactly. Well, I've
yes.
never did alcohol in my life. I've never smoked a cigarette before in my life, and drugs was out of the question. And growing up, they talk about peer pressure, but I saw what it did to other people that did it.
Yeah.
And common sense told me, well, why would I do that and self-destruct, destroy myself or have to go to rehab to recover from drugs and all those kind of things. So just looking at that, I thought, well, no, I'll never do that to my body. You know, and that's before I was in ministry.
Yeah.
I knew better.
Yeah, well, because in the music industry, I think, you know, it can be stressful.
Yes.
And then traveling, and, you know, if you're away from family and everything else, and a lot of people, they lean on these, you know, to cope.
Yeah, they lean on different drugs and different medications. As a matter of fact, Michael Jackson, their family, you know, they were really friends of mine. They used to come to see me sing when I was in Hollywood at the Speakeasy. And you know, it just broke my heart that he went out that way. You know, some type of supposedly medication. You know, that he took, and it took him out like that. You know?
But you know what? I have been managing Bo's career for the past 33 years, and when we made the transition from secular to gospel, my husband would always tell me, "Baby, I don't want to be working so hard where my kids will feel like they were neglected. I wasn't there to help raise them."
Yeah, I don't want my kids to ever say, my dad was so busy working or for God that he had no time for me. You know, I know that God would not want me to have my kids to feel that way. You know, so of course, God is first, but I've always been a family man.
So I was, yes, definitely a family man, and I was in control of with the bookings and selling his itinerary. So he says, I want to make sure that I'm there for all of my kids.
Yes.
Birth.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I helped deliver most of them.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, who was it, Monica or Janetta? When the doctor got there, you know, the nurse and I,
Janetta.
Yeah, we were almost done. I said, well, now, I said, well, Doc, you need to split that fee with me. You know? He laughed, but I didn't.
Yeah. So you've been all over the world, you know?
Been a lot of places. Yeah, like the song says, I've been so many places in my life and time.
Yeah.
And that was the Star Search win.
That's the Star Search win.
On the popular Ed McMahon show, when he won Star Search, he defeated the 13-week champion.
Yeah.
That's the song
I've seen that. I've seen the video.
Oh, you've seen the video?
I have. What was that experience like?
Electrifying.
Yes.
It was really electrifying. You know, I'll never forget when Ed McMahon said, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a new champion from Houston, Texas, Bo Williams. And I threw up both hands and said, praise God, you know, and people start to write in and say, you know, that guy's got to be a Christian because he said, praise God.
Yeah.
Yes. We have 3 daughters and 1 son. And our oldest daughter, we only had our oldest daughter at that time. She was only 4 years old.
Yeah, she's saying, go, Dad, go.
We were in the audience, and I was there, literally.
Yes.
My knees were shaking. I was, like, so nervous because this guy had this
people lined up all the way around
to come
the
and see
building,
this guy.
all the way around the corner to see Sam
13-week champion.
Yeah.
And here we
I
are,
got
and
5
this is
people
all of his
in
audience. And it was just like 5 of us, you know, in the audience. You know what I mean?
So look how God, you know, had that thing turn out. I got 95% of the votes.
Yes.
He got 5% of the votes.
Did you feel nerves up there?
I never did.
No.
I didn't, you know, when that's my element. That's what God gave me to do, you know. So once I'm in my element, I mean, that's I'm at home. It's like throwing a rabbit in a briar patch, you know.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break on the FM. We're actually going to take a listen to God Kept Me by Dr. Bo Williams. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'm going to let y'all listen to some of it.
Okay.
Please,
Oh, wait, hang on. Let me,
To do that, yes.
let me see.
Remind myself that we serve a God of victory and say, I know my God will triumph once again. Turn to your neighbor and say, my God, He kept me. My God, He kept me.
Yeah, I used to
Through
do that.
dangers seen and unseen, through many toils and snares.
the
Then
proper
to turn the
vocal
light of
work
my faith dim.
exercise.
The Lord rushes in before he can harm me. And my God raises up a standard against
Just like
him.
physically. You got
When friends and family turn and walk away from you, disappointment can be hard for us to hide. Oh yeah, there is a friend who sticks closer than any brother. He says, "Fear not, for I will never leave your side." He never left me. My God, He kept me. Oh my God, He kept me. Through danger seen and unseen, through many toils and snares, I was never alone, for the Lord was right there. He never left me. Oh, He didn't forget me. My Lord, He kept me. God, He kept me. He never left me. Oh no, He didn't forget me. My Lord, He kept me. God, He kept me. Let me ask you something. Do you believe it? My God is a
it like a work.
My God is a keeper. Do you believe it? My God is a keeper.
You got to play.
My God is a keeper. If you do, let me hear you say, I'm a believer. My God is a keeper. I'm a believer. My God is a keeper. Oh, I'm a believer. My God is a keeper. I'm a believer. My God is a keeper. If you believe, then testify. 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 Ooh, testify. If you believe, then testify. If you believe, then testify. If you believe, then testify.
Yes, I got my groove.
Hey, this is KHEA Radio. That was Dr. Bo Williams. That is the brand new single, God Kept Me, right here on KHEARadio.com, 99.5 FM. And we actually have Dr. Bo Williams and his beautiful wife here in studio. Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing wonderfully well. You know, when I hear the song, I think about when we were recording the video, how my wife was dancing and she had some of us cracking up because boy, she was so into it. She was going to town.
Hey, intern Ethan was over there
Yeah.
jamming out too
Yeah,
to this
Ethan
as well.
over there with his praise on.
Yes.
And you know, it's kind of a song that gets all in your bones. When it gets all in your bones, you can't sit
can't
still,
help it.
You
okay?
can't. You can't.
Ethan is saying yes, 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 yes.
So if somebody wants to get a copy and keep up with everything that you have going on, how can they get their hands on God Kept Me?
Okay, it's available for everybody and anybody to go on the social media outlets.
Yes.
You can get your God Kept Me single by
Yes.
Bo Williams featuring the Hamiltons.
Mm-hmm.
You could download it on, we have it on Amazon, iTunes.
Everywhere.
Google.
All the social media outlets. Yes.
Can we learn about the Hamiltons?
There's not much in my book about the Hamiltons. No,
But they're a very,
but you
very
can go
popular
online
group.
and see they're a very popular group. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's cool. So that's a cool feature. You know, I love whenever artists are able to work together. You know.
Yes. Well, when I met them, they said that their mother used to listen to Bo Williams, so they kind of grew up listening to Bo Williams in their home. So they said, "Hey, we was excited that we would get a chance to sing with Bo Williams."
Yeah. And so you mentioned also earlier that your son-in-law,
Yes.
that he is the producer and that he helped kind of did he help co-write the song?
Oh yeah. Oh, for certain. Yeah. He's a great writer and a great producer as well.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yes, he did. And you could also go to YouTube to watch the video.
Yes.
And we're believing God, Gordy, that this song is going to just touch so many people.
Yes.
Because we're believing God for souls.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, to further expand the kingdom of God.
Yes.
And we need everybody to support us in this project, in this endeavor. We're believing God that the song is going to go globally, not only to reach the charts where we're believing God to score on the Billboard charts.
Oh yes, it has to. For it to get the kind of attention that it needs, it has to be on the top of the Billboard charts. And we're believing that our friends and followers, the children of God, is going to get involved and make sure that this happens. And it's a time period, so we need to do it now, not say, well, I'm going to do that next week. No, we need to do it as soon as we can, and that's going to be effective and get us on the Billboard where we need to be. And because the gospel need to make a statement. I have seen gospel music go cross over on the R&B charts and get to the top of the chart. The song that come to mind is Al Green. He's coming back like he said it would. Like he said it would. You remember that song? I know that everything is gonna be all right. He's coming back like he said he would. You never heard that one?
Yeah, no, I think I have heard that one. Yeah.
It went to the top of the R&B charts and then went to the top of the gospel charts. Yeah.
And that's spreading some positivity in that way.
Yes.
It's different. Hey, bring the gospel music to like the worldly charts, and it gets people's attention.
It certainly does, and then that make them want to listen. And matter of fact, people have told me that they've gotten saved through my ministry, my music. And when we go, we do prison ministry as well. And then so many of those guys in prison say, man, your music kept me from losing my mind in here, and what a blessing that is. Yes. And then we did the ministry, it was 800 men, prisoners, and these guys were weeping and at the altar, giving their lives to Christ. And most of these guys were already saved, but the ones that wasn't, because of the anointing and the power of God, when we ministered that night, about 800.
There was 800 inmates.
Yeah.
So many of them gave their
came
lives
to the altar and gave their lives to the Lord. Yeah.
But we're living in crucial times.
Yes.
Lord, there's so much going on today. So many bad things. There's a mission field right here.
Oh yes, a big mission field right here.
And so many people can testify to a thing or two that God has kept them from.
Yeah,
oh yes.
Even if you're in jail, in prison, there's probably so many instances where they can stand up and say, God kept me.
Exactly. You're so right.
Yeah.
But,
so if you have the opportunity, matter of fact, you can just do that right now. Make sure that you go download God Kept Me, the brand new single from Dr. Bo Williams. And Ethan was a big help, and he actually shared the YouTube stream into the comment section of our Facebook page that we're doing right now, and we'll go ahead and share that out later. So we'll make sure that we share out that YouTube stream, so that way people will be able to go watch it on the KHEA Radio Facebook page.
Wow, yes, yes, wonderful.
Awesome.
All right, and Dr. Bo Williams, man, I appreciate you and your beautiful wife taking the time to hang out with us today. Is there anything else y'all would like to share while y'all are here right now?
Oh, well, I would just, Jeremiah 33:3, to those that are hurting, to those that are feeling lonely, he said, call to me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things. Watch this, beyond your understanding. So you don't have to be alone. You don't have to feel alone. Just call on to the Almighty, and he'll be right there for you. Come on, somebody.
Yes. And I also want to encourage everyone that's listening. We're experiencing different things in life, difficulties, because we're Christians, we're not exempt from trials and tribulations. The Bible talks about that.
Yes.
But when you have a relationship with Jesus, you can call upon him and he'll make everything all right. And, it's something about life, it takes us through different stages, and we're faced with challenges daily.
Yes.
But I want to encourage everyone today to know, in all of life's challenges, nothing takes the place of faith, commitment, and perseverance. I'm talking about faith in a never failing Heavenly Father. And to commit all of your ways to him. And to continue to persevere, continue to push, continue to stand. Stay focused on what God has for you.
Yes.
And you know what? It's part of what we've been, obligated to do. To call upon the name of Jesus, study the Word, stay close to God, and continue to push and believe that God is gonna, He's gonna give you the desires of your heart because the Word says that. And you
Yes.
may be, and continue to praise Him. You may be one praise
One
away from
praise
your miracle.
away from your miracle.
So don't quit, don't stop, don't give up. Just keep trusting Him, trust and obey God, and you'll be all right.
All right now.
Hey, well, thank y'all for hanging out today. Thank you for
Yes.
joining us. And everybody, make sure you go get God Kept Me, Bo Williams, Dr. Bo Williams. Make sure you search everywhere that you can download music, stream music. Do that today. We're going to listen to it out one more time. This is God Kept Me.
All right.
Right. And He's keeping you too.
Oh, yeah. When peace like a river escapes me,